I had to pause the video and it shut off. So, part 2 of James chapter 4. So, I was talking about we speak of this law and that law and this law and that law that someone hasn't upheld, but we ourselves are guilty. We have broken the law of God. The law of God, all these rules, all these commandments, we've broken so many of them ourselves. Then we're going to call someone out. We're going to judge someone for doing something that we've done ourselves, for something that we're guilty of. It's hypocritical. It truly is. Verse 12, there is one lawgiver who is able to save and to destroy. Who art thou that judgest another? There's one. Jesus can save us. Jesus has the ability to destroy. God, He's the one. He is the one who can save us or who can destroy us. But we end up trying to put that power in our own hands. We try to play God by judging one another in replacement to loving one another. Now, you can have righteous judgment. I'm not speaking against righteous judgment. But we falsely accuse a brother or sister in Christ, or we condemn them for something they did accidentally that we ourselves have done purposely, or something that they did purposely in the heat of a moment that we ourselves did purposely before. We judge and we judge and we judge and we forget the love. We forget to love on them. Go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow we will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and make a profit or get gain. Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. Wow. So, our life is, it's so common in the Bible to see this. And, it's both ends of the spectrum are true. Our life is amazing. Us, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. We're image bearers of God. But our life is also just a little time. Us, the amount of us, He cares for us. But do you know how many of us there are? Do you know how small we are in comparison with the whole universe? We're so small. And yet God cares for us. Our life is so short, and yet God cares for us. But we keep on saying things like, and I hear it nowadays, we're going to go do this, then tomorrow we're going to do this, then next week we'll do this. But here's what He's saying in this. For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. We shouldn't be saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do this and that, and all of these different things. This is going to happen tomorrow. This is going to happen a week from now. Because these things, they only happen if the Lord allows them to. If the Lord wills them to, they'll happen. But if the Lord, no one can stop the Lord from having us dead or alive. If it is God's will for me to die, I will be dead. If it's His will for me to die in the next few seconds, I would be dead. If it wasn't, I wouldn't. if it was not according to God's will. God is in control of that. You see, in the book of Job, Satan is commanded by God. Satan's permitted by God to do pretty much anything to Job, but to not touch his life, to not kill Job. Because God has that authority, God has that power. And we're not going to end up dead unless God wills it, but we're not going to continue living unless God wills it. So we shouldn't be saying that we're going to do this and that. We need to say, according to God's will, we'll do this. If it be his will, we will live, and then do that. But now ye rejoice in your boastings, or now ye boast in your arrogance. All such rejoicing is evil. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Now, this is something I could probably speak on an hour for this, but I'm not going to. Wow. To him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Now, this can apply in a lot of things, in a lot of context, in a lot of areas, right? It can apply to things you think, it can apply to, I don't talk about politics on this really, but I'm not afraid to talk about stuff that's been deemed political. In Canada, the Bible is deemed political. So just because something is deemed political doesn't mean it's a hands-off topic that we can't talk about as Christians. So I'm not afraid to dive into political stuff, but I don't want the focus to be politics. That's not going to be the focus of this. But for example, you can hold a position and know that if you do not vote a certain way, that all this other evil will manifest. You can know that if I vote for this, I'm voting for something explicitly evil that God condemns, that this party is endorsing. And therefore, you're like, I can't possibly vote for them. That's because you know that it's sin for you to vote for that party whenever you know what they're doing, God condemns. And I'm gonna get into it for a second. Abortion. God condemns us taking the lives of these image bearers of God. God condemns it. God condemns this sacrificing of children. They used to sacrifice their children to Molech. And that's a huge reason why the Canaanites were taken down. Because of it. It's an abomination. And then the modern version of that, abortion, is something that God does not want. He does not want that for anyone. Every single child, every single image bearer he has made, he is knitting in the womb of their mother. But then during an abortion, what he's knitting together is being taken apart. What he's knitting together is being sucked out. What he's knitting together is being starved. What he's knitting together is being injected. What he's knitting together is being poisoned. And I could not, in good conscience, vote for a party that endorses that on demand, wants it to be legal, stay legal. I could not, because of this verse, because I know what is good and that if I voted for this party, the Democratic Party, if I voted for them, I know it would be sin for me, because I know that if I voted for them, I'd be going against what is good. And let's put this in other perspectives. Some people talk about what kind of things are you're allowed to do in marriage as Christians, in the context of the marriage bed, what's permitted and what's not. And I don't know how young my viewers are, so I'm not going to get into that. And I personally disagree with all of these things. The other two forms of engaging in things in the bed, but there's some people, they don't have a problem with it. They don't think of it as sin. But for me, if I got married, I wouldn't perform any of those other two acts than the original act that for that leads to procreation. I'm really trying to be easy with my words, because there are possibly kids who watch this. So, but I'm sure anyone who's of older age probably knows what I'm talking about. But I know that it would be sin for me to do it, because I don't think it's good. I don't think it does any good. Then there's so many things where this applies. I really can't think of many off the top of my head right now. But there's so many things where you're put in a situation and you know what the right thing to do is. There's just a bunch of small areas. You know the right thing to do, and then you don't do it. You know, say you're at, say you're working, and you know that the right thing to do is to tell the guest, hey, your food doesn't look good, and we're out of any more food, so I'm not going to ring you up for this, because I know that it's wrong. But you don't do that. Instead, you ring them up for the thing, and you know it looks terrible. You know that they wouldn't have paid for it if they knew what they were paying for, and then you hand it out the window. And I've seen this done, or I've seen this attempted to be done, and I've had to be like, no, this isn't right. This isn't right to hand out this food. So there's just so many small things in your life that you might be able to apply this verse to, that you know what the right thing to do is, you know what the wrong thing to do is. And if you do the wrong thing, and or if you refuse to do the right thing, which is doing the wrong thing, then that's sin for you, because you have the knowledge of what's right and what's wrong. I hope this has blessed you. God bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. I love you all. God bless you all again. Bye.